Through the mist and drizzle of Ardennes forest, a single American soldier advanced on a German machine gun bunker that had pinned down his entire company for 6 hours. Private Thomas Reilly, clutching his Browning automatic rifle, moved methodically through shell-torn earth. Intelligence reports later revealed the Germans had considered the position impregnable. 3 overlapping MG-42s, with interlocking fields of fire. One 20-second burst from Reilly's BAR silenced all 3 guns and killed 7 enemy soldiers. The Germans would later modify their defensive doctrine across the entire Western Front. The year was 1944. The battlefield went silent for 3 seconds after Reilly's burst. Then cheers erupted from the American lines. Captain Ellis Miller, commanding officer of Echo Company, recorded in his after-action report, "A single bar operator accomplished what an artillery barrage could not, but the weapon that made this possible had almost never reached the battlefield." The story begins 20 years earlier, with a weapons designer obsessed with firepower. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. In 1917, John Moses Browning stood before a skeptical panel of U.S. Army ordnance officers. The Great War had revealed that infantry tactics were changing forever. Trench warfare demanded concentrated firepower that bolt-action rifles couldn't deliver. The Army needed an automatic weapon light enough for a single soldier, yet powerful enough to break enemy positions. Browning placed his prototype on the table. "Gentlemen," he said, "this changes everything." The Browning automatic rifle, soon known simply as the BAR, weighed 16 pounds fully loaded. It fired the same 30-06 round as the standard Springfield rifle, but at 550 rounds per minute. Browning's selective fire mechanism allowed the operator to switch between semi-automatic for precision or full automatic for suppression. The gas-operated system harnessed propellant energy to cycle the action without external power. This combination of features represented a revolution in infantry weapons. Initial tests at Aberdeen Proving Grounds revealed the BAR's extraordinary capabilities. 5 evaluators fired 20,000 rounds through a single prototype without major malfunction. Accuracy remained consistent out to 600 yards. The weapon functioned in mud, rain, and simulated battlefield conditions that rendered other automatic weapons useless. Colonel Harrington's evaluation board wrote, "This weapon delivers the firepower of 5 riflemen with superior accuracy to any current automatic weapon." Production contracts went to Winchester, Colt, and Marlin Rockwell. By late 1918, thousands of BARs reached American forces in France. The weapon arrived too late to significantly influence the war's outcome, but field reports from commanders described its impact as transformative where deployed. General Pershing personally requested expanded BAR production for the planned 1919 offensive that the armistice rendered unnecessary. What the Army couldn't know was how this weapon would evolve over 20 years to become the unexpected centerpiece of squad tactics in an even greater conflict. Between wars, the BAR underwent continuous refinement. The M1918A1 model introduced a bipod for improved stability. The cooling fins on the barrel jacket were simplified for mass production. The M1918A2 version, standardized in 1940, incorporated a buffer system that reduced the cyclic rate to 300 to 450 rounds per minute, improving controllability during automatic fire. When war clouds gathered over Europe again, the United States found itself with a unique tactical advantage. While other nations had developed either crew-served machine guns or submachine guns, only the BAR occupied the crucial middle ground, an automatic rifle with full-power cartridges, manageable by a single infantryman. Each American squad would be built around this capability. The infantry school at Fort Benning developed an entire doctrine based on the BAR's characteristics. The rifle squad, typically 12 men, included 1 BAR operator, whose weapon provided the base of fire for maneuver elements. Lieutenant Colonel George Marshall, who would later become Army Chief of Staff, noted in 1937, "The BAR fundamentally alters the mathematics of small unit combat. A single soldier can now deliver suppressive fire previously requiring an entire team. Training for BAR operators became specialized and intense. The weapon's weight, nearly twice that of the standard Garand rifle, required physical conditioning. Its recoil demanded proper stance and body position. Its 20-round magazine capacity necessitated disciplined fire and rapid reloading. Operators practiced transitioning between semi-automatic for aimed fire and automatic for area suppression. They learned to manage overheating barrels and to diagnose malfunctions under stress. Camp Perry, Ohio, 1941. Sergeant James Holloway demonstrates the BAR to a group of newly commissioned officers. "This weapon doesn't forgive mistakes," he explains, settling into position. "But master it, and you control the battlefield." He squeezes the trigger for a 3-round burst. The targets at 300 yards show 3 holes within a 4-inch circle. The Germans have nothing that can match this combination of power and precision in a one-man package. The first combat deployments validated these claims. North Africa, 1942. A platoon from the 1st Infantry Division encounters a German patrol. Staff Sergeant Raymond Alcorn's bar accounts for 8 confirmed enemy casualties, breaking the German formation before it can organize resistance. His after-action report states, "The BAR's rate of fire created the impression of a much larger American force. Enemy survivors, when captured, expressed surprise at our actual numbers." But the weapon had limitations that would become apparent under sustained combat conditions. The fixed barrel could overheat during prolonged fire, unlike water-cooled machine guns. The 20-round magazine emptied quickly on automatic, creating vulnerable reload intervals. The mechanism's precision engineering demanded regular maintenance that battlefield conditions sometimes prevented, and the bar's weight, an advantage for stability, became exhausting during long movements. The Ordnance Department considered alternatives. The Johnson light machine gun promised similar firepower with a quick-change barrel. The M1919A6 machine gun offered belt-fed operation for sustained fire. Various modifications to the BAR itself were proposed to address its limitations, but the weapon's reliability, accuracy, and established place in tactical doctrine outweighed its drawbacks. The BAR would remain the squad automatic weapon throughout the war. When the United States entered World War II at full scale, BAR production accelerated. New Boston Manufacturing Company, International Business Machines, and other contractors joined the effort. By 1943, monthly production exceeded 8,000 weapons. Every infantry squad in the European and Pacific theaters included at least one BAR operator, with many units deploying 2 per squad for additional firepower. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now, back to the story. The BAR proved adaptable to varied combat environments. In the hedgerows of Normandy, its penetrating power could defeat light cover that protected German positions. In the mountains of Italy, its range and accuracy allowed engagement beyond the effective distance of German submachine guns. In the jungles of the Pacific, its reliability in humid conditions maintained American firepower where other weapons failed. Company commanders reported that BAR operators often became priority targets for enemy snipers and machine gunners who recognized the weapon's tactical importance. This led to the development of specific countermeasures. BAR operators frequently changed positions after firing. They wore the same uniforms as riflemen to avoid identification. Some units even deployed multiple soldiers carrying BAR ammunition but standard rifles, creating ambiguity about the automatic weapon's true location. The psychological impact extended beyond tactical considerations. German prisoners interrogated after the Normandy campaign frequently mentioned the automatic rifle as a particular source of fear. One captured officer's report, translated by Allied intelligence, stated, Its mobility allows it to appear anywhere along the line, while its firepower requires a machine gun response. This creates an unfavorable exchange ratio for our forces. Winter, 1944. The 28th Infantry Division advances through the Hurtgen Forest. Private Michael Santoro, a replacement BAR operator 3 weeks out of basic training, encounters his first combat test. His squad comes under fire from a concealed German position. The platoon leader signals for covering fire. Santoro deploys his BAR, firing short, controlled bursts as trained. The German position falls silent after 20 seconds. Later, inspection reveals 3 enemy casualties and evidence of several others dragged away. The platoon commander writes in his report, "Replacement BAR operator performed with the precision of a combat veteran. The BAR's effectiveness derived not merely from its technical specifications but from the training system built around it." BAR operators underwent specialized instruction beyond standard infantry training. They fired thousands of practice rounds to develop muscle memory. They performed maintenance blindfolded to prepare for nighttime operations. They practiced immediate action drills to clear malfunctions under fire. This investment in operator capability multiplied the weapon's inherent advantages. Weapon functionality proved remarkably consistent across production sources. A bar manufactured by IBM performed identically to one from New England Small Arms. This standardization simplified logistics and training. Spare parts interchanged regardless of manufacturer. Any armorer could service any BAR. Any operator could use any BAR with confidence in its performance. This uniformity, rare among complex weapons, became a significant advantage in sustained operations. The BAR's tactical influence reached its apex during the Battle of the Bulge. German forces, launching their final major offensive of the war, initially overwhelmed American positions. As the situation stabilized, the BAR's combination of mobility and firepower proved crucial in defensive actions. Small American units, cut off from support, used their BARs to break up German infantry concentrations. The weapon's accuracy allowed engagement beyond the effective range of German automatic weapons, while its firepower created the impression of stronger resistance. Sergeant Frank Malone, 101st Airborne Division, deployed his BAR from the second floor of a damaged building in Bastogne. Over a 6-hour period, he engaged multiple German infantry units attempting to probe American lines. His ammunition bearers kept the BAR supplied through repeated magazine changes. Battalion records credited his position with preventing an enemy breakthrough that could have compromised the entire perimeter. The citation for his Silver Star noted, "The continuous accurate fire from his automatic rifle convinced enemy forces they faced a significantly larger defending force." The BAR's influence extended beyond direct combat applications. Its presence shaped small unit tactics throughout the army. The rifle squad's movement, formation, and fire distribution all centered around maximizing the BAR's effectiveness. Assistant BAR operators, designated ammunition carriers, ensured sustained fire capability. The weapon became the cornerstone of American squad-level doctrine, a role it would maintain through the Korean War and into the early stages of Vietnam. Statistical analysis confirmed the BAR's battlefield impact. Operations Research Section studies conducted in 1944 found that in engagements under 300 yards, squads with functional BARs inflicted approximately 180% more casualties than those without. Enemy forces pinned down by BAR fire took 42% longer to reorganize after breaking contact, and American units suffering BAR operator casualties showed a 36% decrease in offensive effectiveness until the weapon could be redistributed. German intelligence assessments captured after the war revealed the BAR's reputation among opposing forces. A Wehrmacht analysis from January 1945 categorized American infantry weapons by threat level. The BAR received the highest classification, priority target neutralize immediately. The document continued. American automatic rifle operators represent disproportionate tactical value relative to standard riflemen. Their elimination significantly degrades enemy squad capability. Which brings us back to Private Thomas Reilly and the Ardennes bunker complex. The 17th of December 1944. Echo Company, 112th Infantry Regiment, advancing through fog-shrouded forest, encountered a German defensive position that had not appeared in reconnaissance reports. 3 MG-42 machine guns, positioned to create overlapping fields of fire, pinned the Americans in exposed terrain as temperatures dropped toward freezing. Artillery support, requested at 0930 hours, proved ineffective. The German position, constructed with overhead cover and reinforced walls, resisted the limited shells available. 6 hours into the engagement, the company had suffered 11 casualties without advancing. Conventional tactics had failed. The situation demanded something different. Private Reilly, the company's most experienced BAR operator, with 11 months of combat service, proposed a flanking approach through terrain the Germans had deemed impassable. A stream bed, partially frozen and concealed by dense undergrowth, offered a narrow approach to within 30 yards of the German position's eastern edge. Captain Miller, with few alternatives, approved the attempt. Reilly moved with practiced silence through the frozen stream bed. Winter training at Camp McCoy the previous December had taught him how to minimize noise on ice and snow. The undergrowth, brown and brittle, provided visual concealment while allowing careful movement. He carried only his bar, 8 magazines, and a Colt, 45 pistol, maximum mobility, maximum firepower. This mission required both. The German bunker complex came into view as Reilly reached the eastern approach. From this angle, he could see what aerial reconnaissance had missed: the position's structural weakness. The eastern-facing gun port was designed with a wider field of fire, making the interior more exposed to a flanking shot. The Germans, believing the stream approach impassable, had optimized their defenses against a frontal assault only. Captain Miller, monitoring the situation through binoculars, prepared a diversion. At his signal, rifle fire from 3 squad positions intensified, focusing German attention forward. Mortar teams lobbed smoke rounds to further obscure vision. The Germans responded predictably, directing their MG-42s toward the perceived threat. The gun's distinctive sound, a ripping canvas noise at 1,200 rounds per minute, dominated the battlefield soundscape. Reilly reached his firing position 28 yards from the bunker complex. The BAR felt reassuringly solid despite 8 months of continuous use. He had maintained this particular weapon meticulously, cleaning it after every engagement, replacing springs before they weakened, personally inspecting each magazine for feeding reliability. His armourer had described him as married to that bar, a characterization Reilly never disputed. He settled into position, controlling his breathing as taught at Fort Benning. The selector switch moved to automatic with a familiar click. The stock pressed firmly against his shoulder. His thumb found the safety. Through the aperture sight, he could see the leftmost machine gun port, detect movement inside. He waited for the perfect moment: maximum exposure, minimum reaction time. The signal came at 1,542 hours. A green star cluster from the American lines. 3 short whistle blasts. The diversionary fire intensified dramatically. Germans shifted focus. Reilly had his window. He controlled his inhalation, stabilized, and squeezed the trigger with deliberate pressure. The BAR spoke with authority. 20 rounds, delivered in a single controlled burst lasting just under 3 seconds. The 30-06 rounds, each carrying 2,800 foot-pounds of energy, penetrated the bunker opening. The first rounds eliminated the leftmost gunner. The remainder, travelling through the interconnected position, struck ammunition, equipment, and personnel. What happened next exceeded all expectations. Secondary explosions rippled through the position. An ammunition cache, stored against protocol in the fighting compartment rather than a separate magazine, detonated. The pressure wave collapsed internal walls. All 3 machine gun positions fell silent simultaneously. German survivors, dazed and disoriented, emerged with hands raised. The position that had halted an entire company for 6 hours, neutralized by 20 rounds from a single weapon. Captain Miller's after-action report, submitted 3 days later, described the engagement in clinical terms. Bar operator effectively neutralized enemy position through exploitation of structural weakness and tactical surprise. Recommend commendation for initiative under fire. The document, preserved in National Archives records, understates the psychological impact of the event. For the men of Echo Company, it became legendary proof of what one soldier with the right weapon could accomplish. German military intelligence took more serious notice. A captured assessment, dated January 1945, specifically referenced the incident. American automatic rifle capabilities exceed previous estimates. Defense positions require redesign to minimize vulnerability to flanking fire from this weapon. The modifications appeared in subsequent German fortifications, smaller firing ports, compartmentalized construction, reinforced internal walls, too late to affect the war's outcome, but evidence of the BAR's impact on enemy thinking. The weapon that made this possible emerged from a development process as remarkable as its combat performance. John Browning designed the original BAR in just 3 months during 1917. The prototype underwent limited testing before entering production, unthinkable by modern standards. Yet the core design proved so fundamentally sound that it remained in service with only minor modifications for nearly 4 decades. Engineering analysis explains why. The BAR's long-stroke gas piston system provided operational reliability under adverse conditions. The rotating bolt head ensured positive locking during firing. The rate-reducing buffer in later models delivered controllable automatic fire. Each feature represented elegant solution to combat requirements. Taken together, they created a weapon that withstood battlefield conditions that rendered other automatic designs useless. Production quality varied between manufacturers but remained generally excellent. Winchester-made examples, considered the finest, showed exceptional fit and finish. Even wartime expedient producers like IBM maintained critical tolerances within specifications. This consistency allowed the weapon to maintain reliability across hundreds of thousands of examples produced under wartime pressure. Technical Sergeant Harold Eastman, Chief Armourer for the 28th Infantry Division, wrote in his maintenance log, "BAR components interchange regardless of manufacturer. Replacement parts function without fitting in 92% of repairs. This standardization simplifies battlefield maintenance significantly compared to other automatic weapons. This interchangeability, rare among complex firearms of the era, provided tactical flexibility that competing designs couldn't match. The BAR's tactical impact derived not merely from its firepower but from its psychological effect. Lieutenant James Morrison, platoon leader in the 4th Infantry Division, noted in correspondence, "The distinctive sound of the BAR reassures our men while unsettling the Germans. When it opens fire, our troops advance more confidently. When it falls silent, they immediately sense something wrong. It has become the heartbeat of the platoon." Training continued to evolve based on combat experience. The infantry school published revised guidelines in September 1944, incorporating lessons from Normandy and subsequent operations. BAR operators now trained to fire from intermediate positions, neither fully standing nor prone, to maximize mobility while maintaining accuracy. They practiced rolling from position to position between bursts. They developed instinctive reload techniques that minimized exposure time. Weapons maintenance adapted to field conditions. Armourers discovered that certain lubricants performed better in European humidity and cold. They developed expedient cleaning methods, using available materials when standard supplies ran short. They created maintenance schedules based on round count and environmental exposure rather than calendar time. These practical innovations, driven by battlefield necessity, enhanced the BAR's already impressive reliability. Tactical deployment evolved similarly. Early war doctrine positioned the BAR operator centrally within the squad formation. Experience revealed the vulnerability of this approach. Enemy forces quickly identified and targeted the automatic weapon. By 1944, doctrine placed the BAR on the squad's flank, where its firepower could enfilade enemy positions while presenting a less obvious target. This positioning reduced BAR operator casualties while maximizing tactical effect. Medical Corps statistics revealed the human dimension of these tactical adaptations. In 1942, BAR operators suffered casualty rates 37% higher than riflemen in the same units. By 1945, this differential had decreased to less than 10%. Improved positioning, better training, and accumulated experience had substantially reduced the vulnerability associated with operating the squad's most powerful weapon. Supply officers noted another pattern. BAR ammunition consumption exceeded doctrinal estimates by approximately 60%. The weapon's effectiveness led squad leaders to employ it more frequently than planning assumptions anticipated. Logistical systems adjusted accordingly, allocating additional 30-06 ammunition to units based on their BAR density. By late 1944, a typical infantry company received approximately 2,800 rounds per BAR per week, a significant increase from earlier allocations. The weapon's influence extended beyond American units. Captured BARs became prized possessions among German troops. Wehrmacht officers, interrogated after capture, frequently mentioned the BAR as the American weapon they most wished to acquire for their own forces. This professional respect, from a military renowned for weapons expertise, represented powerful validation of the BAR's design and capability. February 1945. The 104th Infantry Division advances through the Reichswald Forest. Sergeant David Cohen leads a squad equipped with 2 BARs, double the standard allocation. His after-action report describes the tactical advantage. When the first BAR initiated contact, German forces oriented their defense toward that position. The second BAR, firing from an unexpected direction, created confusion and forced an immediate withdrawal. The enemy has no effective counter for multiple automatic rifles deployed with this level of mobility. The technical sophistication driving this tactical advantage remained invisible to most operators. Few understood the engineering precision that made their weapon function. The BAR's gas piston, machined to tolerances of 1/1000 inch, harnessed propellant gases to cycle the action. The locking mechanism, engaging and disengaging hundreds of times per minute, maintained perfect timing under extreme stress. The recoil buffer, a complex assembly of springs and friction surfaces, tamed the weapon's natural cycle rate to allow accurate fire. Manufacturers maintained these tolerances despite wartime pressures. Quality control records from IBM's production line show inspection rejection rates below 2%, remarkable for a company with no previous firearms manufacturing experience. New England Small Arms achieved similar results through rigorous testing protocols. Each BAR underwent function testing with live ammunition before leaving the factory, a practice uncommon for most wartime production. The BAR's weight, once considered a liability, proved advantageous under combat conditions. The 16-pound weapon absorbed recoil energy that would have made lighter automatics uncontrollable. The substantial barrel mass resisted overheating during sustained fire. The robust construction withstood physical abuse inevitable in combat environments. What felt burdensome during training became reassuring in battle. This reliability created absolute confidence among experienced troops. Staff Sergeant Raymond Ellis, writing from the Hürtgen Forest in November 1944, expressed this trust. "My BAR has never failed to fire when needed. I've dropped it in mud, snow, and water. I've gone 3 days without cleaning it. It continues to function when every other automatic weapon stops. I would trade any 2 other weapons in the Army inventory to keep my BAR." The weapon's effectiveness led to unexpected applications. While designed as an infantry weapon, the BAR found roles in mechanized units, defensive perimeters, and even limited anti-aircraft use. Tank commanders mounted BARs on vehicle exteriors for close protection. Artillery forward observers carried them for security during reconnaissance. Airfield defense units employed them against low-flying aircraft. This versatility extended the weapon's influence beyond its intended role. The BAR's psychological impact worked in both directions. American troops drew confidence from its presence, while German forces developed specific counter-tactics to neutralize it. Enemy snipers received instructions to prioritize BAR operators. German machine gun teams directed suppressive fire toward suspected BAR positions. Propaganda broadcasts sometimes specifically addressed American automatic riflemen, offering preferential treatment if they surrendered with their weapons. These enemy responses validated the BAR's battlefield importance. Operations research analysis confirmed what frontline commanders already knew. The BAR represented the tactical centerpiece of the American infantry squad. Major General James Gavin, commanding the 82nd Airborne Division, wrote in his tactical assessment, "The BAR provides our smallest units with firepower disproportionate to their size. This capability changes the entire calculus of small unit actions." Staff officers studying engagement reports noted consistent patterns. Squads maintained offensive momentum as long as their BARs remained operational. When BAR operators became casualties, units typically halted their advance until the weapon could be redistributed. Defensive positions held substantially longer when supported by effective BAR fire. The statistical evidence aligned with anecdotal reports the weapon fundamentally altered small unit combat dynamics. As the European campaign reached its final stages, BAR production continued at accelerated pace. Monthly deliveries exceeded 9,000 weapons by early 1945. This production level, maintained despite materials shortages and competing priorities, reflected the weapon's proven value. The Ordnance Department, responsible for equipment allocation, prioritized BAR distribution even as other items faced rationing. Technical improvements continued despite the weapon's success. Engineering teams studied field reports, identifying opportunities for enhancement. The bipod attachment received a more secure mounting. The recoil buffer incorporated improved spring materials. The safety mechanism gained positive engagement. These modifications, often implemented through field retrofit programs, maintained the BAR's effectiveness as combat conditions evolved. The Pacific Theater provided different challenges for the BAR. Jungle environments, with their combination of high humidity, heavy vegetation, and close engagement distances, tested the weapon's versatility. Marine Corps units particularly valued the BAR's reliability under these conditions. A 1st Marine Division equipment assessment stated, "The BAR maintains functionality in environments that render other automatic weapons inoperative. Its reliability under adverse conditions directly translates to tactical advantage." Jungle warfare revealed another BAR advantage, its controllability during movement. While crew-served machine guns required setup time and stable positions, BAR operators could fire effectively while advancing through difficult terrain. This capability proved crucial during operations against Japanese defensive positions, where momentum often determined outcome. The BAR allowed attacking forces to maintain suppressive fire throughout their approach. The weapon's adaptability extended to firing techniques. In European operations, BAR operators typically fired from prone or kneeling positions using the bipod. Pacific operations frequently required offhand firing while moving through dense vegetation. The weapon's design accommodated both approaches without modification. This flexibility allowed the same basic system to support drastically different tactical environments. As the war progressed, logistics systems evolved to support the BAR's deployment. Ammunition supply chains prioritized. 30-06 delivery to frontline units. Spare parts packages became more comprehensive and widely available. Maintenance personnel received specialized training in BAR repair. These support systems enhanced the weapon's effectiveness by ensuring continuous operation under combat conditions. Technical Sergeant Walter Mitchell, armorer for the 3rd Marine Division, developed innovative field maintenance procedures during the Bougainville campaign. His methods, adopted throughout Pacific operations, extended the BAR's effective service life under extreme conditions. Mitchell's maintenance log recorded, "Daily cleaning and lubrication, regardless of firing schedule, prevents corrosion in jungle environments. Critical components require inspection after each significant rainfall. Proper maintenance allows reliable function despite environmental challenges." This attention to support systems translated directly to combat effectiveness. Units that maintained proper BAR maintenance reported malfunction rates below 2%, even in tropical conditions. Those that neglected maintenance faced rates exceeding 15%. The difference often determined engagement outcomes. Well-maintained BARs provided decisive firepower. Malfunctioning ones created dangerous vulnerabilities. The BAR's reputation spread through both official channels and informal networks. Combat veterans rotated to training assignments brought first-hand knowledge of the weapon's capabilities. Their experiences, often more valuable than technical manuals, shaped the next generation of operators. By 1945, BAR training incorporated lessons learned through thousands of combat engagements across multiple theaters. Sergeant Frank Colombo, instructor at Camp Lejeune, emphasized this experience-based approach. "I don't teach the manual, I teach what kept me alive for 14 months in the Pacific." The BAR requires intuitive understanding that comes only through proper instruction and extensive practice. When taught correctly, it becomes an extension of the operator rather than simply a weapon. This philosophy, treating the bar as a system that included both the mechanical device and the trained operator, represented a fundamental shift in weapons deployment. The best BAR teams operated with almost symbiotic efficiency. Operators maintained their weapons with religious dedication. Assistant gunners anticipated ammunition needs without verbal communication. This integration of human and mechanical capabilities maximized the weapon's effectiveness. The result was combat performance that frequently appeared disproportionate to raw specifications. A single well-trained BAR operator could effectively suppress enemy positions that might otherwise require a machine gun team. This capability provided tactical flexibility that transformed small unit operations. Squad leaders could maintain pressure on multiple objectives simultaneously using independent BAR teams. By April 1945, as Allied forces pushed into Germany, the BAR had firmly established its reputation as the definitive squad automatic weapon of the war. German prisoners consistently identified it as the American weapon they most feared encountering. Allied commanders requested increased BAR allocations, even as victory appeared certain. The weapon had proven itself through the most rigorous possible testing, continuous combat across diverse environments against determined opponents. Which brings us back to Private Thomas Reilly's actions in the Ardennes. The 20-second burst that neutralized the German bunker complex represented more than an isolated act of courage. It embodied the culmination of weapon design, manufacturing precision, tactical evolution, and operator training developed over decades. The BAR made Reilly's action possible. Reilly's training made the BAR effective. The engagement's aftermath revealed the structural damage caused by Reilly's fire. The 20 rounds, accurately delivered through the bunker's vulnerable point, had created catastrophic effects. 3 German machine guns MG-42S capable of 1,200 rounds per minute lay disabled. 7 enemy personnel had become casualties. Equipment worth 10 times the BAR's production cost was destroyed or captured. The tactical impact extended beyond mathematical calculation. Captain Miller's decision to recommend Reilly for the Silver Star rather than the Bronze Star initially proposed reflected this understanding. His supporting documentation stated, "This action fundamentally altered the tactical situation for the entire company. A position that would have required a reinforced platoon assault with probable heavy casualties was neutralized by a single operator with proper equipment and initiative. The value of specialized training and appropriate weapons allocation could not be more clearly demonstrated." The impact of Reilly's action extended beyond the immediate tactical victory. General Omar Bradley, commanding 1st Army, received a detailed briefing on the incident. While individual actions rarely reached such levels of command attention, this event carried broader significance. It demonstrated how a single soldier with the right weapon could fundamentally alter a battlefield situation. Bradley directed his staff to analyze the engagement for lessons applicable to wider operations. Major Robert Thompson, operations analyst attached to 1st Army headquarters, produced a formal study. His conclusion: The BAR represents a force multiplier beyond conventional weapon effectiveness metrics. Its combination of mobility, firepower, and reliability enables tactical options unavailable to forces without equivalent capabilities. The report circulated through command channels, reinforcing allocation priorities that maintained BAR distribution despite competing equipment demands. The German response proved equally revealing. Captured defensive directives issued in January 1945 specifically addressed American automatic rifle tactics. The documents required reinforced bunker designs with overlapping interior walls to contain penetrating fire. They mandated reduced firing port dimensions to minimize vulnerability. They specified ammunition storage protocols to prevent secondary explosions. These adaptations, essentially redesigning defensive positions in response to a single infantry weapon, underscored the BAR's outsized battlefield impact. What made this possible was not merely mechanical performance, but the integration of weapon characteristics, tactical doctrine, and operator training. The BAR's distinctive capabilities shaped American squad tactics at the most fundamental level. Units trained specifically to maximize these capabilities. Individual soldiers developed specialized skills to exploit the weapon's potential. The result was combat effectiveness, disproportionate to numerical strength or technical specifications alone. This systemic approach distinguished American automatic rifle deployment from other combatants' machine gun tactics. Wehrmacht doctrine emphasized fixed machine gun positions, providing interlocking fields of fire. Soviet forces relied on crew-served weapons with high sustained rates of fire. Both approaches traded mobility for volume. The BAR, by contrast, delivered automatic fire capability in a package that moved with the advancing squad, fundamentally altering tactical dynamics at the smallest unit level. As Allied forces pushed into Germany in early 1945, the BAR's reputation solidified among both friendly and enemy troops. American infantry understood its decisive role in engagements at squad and platoon level. German defenders developed specific countermeasures to neutralize its effectiveness. This mutual recognition reflected a simple truth. In small unit combat, the presence or absence of effective BAR deployment often determined the outcome. The weapon's influence extended to strategic planning. General Dwight Eisenhower's headquarters staff, analyzing equipment effectiveness reports, noted the BAR's contribution to offensive operations. A planning document dated March 1945 stated, "American infantry formations maintain momentum in offensive operations largely through automatic rifle capability, integrated at squad level. This advantage should be exploited through tactical deployments that maximize opportunities for BAR employment." The history of military technology reveals that truly transformative weapons do not merely provide technical advantages, they reshape doctrinal thinking. The longbow at Crécy, the machine gun at the Somme, the tank at Cambrai each changed not only equipment tables but fundamental concepts of warfare. The BAR, while less dramatically revolutionary, similarly influenced tactical evolution at the small unit level, where most infantry combat actually occurred. Spring 1945. The 2nd Armoured Division advances through central Germany. Staff Sergeant William Harrison, commanding a mechanized infantry squad, employs his BAR teams to clear buildings from exposed half-track positions. The mobility of the weapon allows operators to deliver accurate automatic fire while mounted, then immediately dismount for close-quarters combat. Harrison's after-action report notes, "The BAR's versatility allows seamless transition between mounted fire support and dismounted assault roles. No other weapon in our inventory provides this tactical flexibility." This flexibility derived from engineering decisions made decades earlier. John Browning's original design brief called for a weapon that combined rifle accuracy with machine gun firepower in a portable package. The competing requirements seemed contradictory. Sustained automatic fire generates heat that compromises accuracy. Accuracy requires weight that limits mobility. Mobility demands lightness that reduces controllability. Browning's genius lay in finding the optimal balance point among these competing factors. The result was a weapon that excelled not through superiority in any single characteristic, but through effective integration of multiple capabilities. The BAR wasn't the fastest-firing automatic weapon, nor the lightest, nor the most accurate at extreme ranges. It simply combined sufficient performance across all relevant metrics in a package that a single infantry soldier could deploy effectively under combat conditions. This balance proved more valuable than excellence in any isolated characteristic. Production statistics tell part of the story. Between 1942 and 1945, American manufacturers delivered approximately 188,380 BARs to the military. This represented a significant industrial commitment. Each weapon required precision machining, quality materials, and extensive testing. The sustained production priority, maintained despite wartime resource constraints, reflected the BAR's proven battlefield value and the Army's determination to maintain its tactical advantage. The weapon's evolution continued throughout the conflict. Field modifications, some officially sanctioned and others representing individual initiative, enhanced the BAR's effectiveness in specific environments. In the Pacific, Marines removed the bipod to reduce weight for jungle operations. In Europe, winter campaigns led to simplified field stripping procedures that allowed maintenance with gloved hands. These adaptations demonstrated the design's inherent flexibility. Technical intelligence, analyzing captured German and Japanese weapons, provided comparative perspective. The German FG-42, while innovative, proved too complex for reliable field service. The Japanese Type 99 light machine gun lacked controllability in automatic fire. The British Bren, excellent in sustained fire, couldn't match the BAR's portability. This analysis reinforced confidence in the American approach. A robust, reliable automatic rifle integrated at squad level offered optimal effectiveness for infantry operations. The BAR's deployment wasn't limited to conventional infantry units. Specialized formations developed unique applications for its capabilities. Ranger battalions, operating with minimal support, valued its firepower to weight ratio. Airborne units integrated BARs despite weight concerns, recognizing that initial combat power outweighed drop weight limitations. Mountain troops found the weapon effective even in high-altitude operations where other automatics suffered reduced reliability. This universal adoption across diverse units reflected the weapon's fundamental soundness. A design that functions effectively for Rangers in the Ardennes, Marines on Iwo Jima, and paratroopers at Normandy demonstrates exceptional versatility. Few weapons in military history have proven equally valuable across such varied operational environments without significant modification. VE Day, the 8th of May 1945. As combat operations ceased in Europe, assessment teams began systematic evaluation of equipment performance under wartime conditions. The BAR received particular attention given its central role in infantry tactics. Technical inspections of weapons recovered from frontline units revealed extraordinary durability. Many examples had fired 20,000+ rounds without major component failure, far exceeding design specifications. More telling were the modifications field units had implemented. Many BARs showed evidence of personalization, improved sights, modified stocks, customized carrying systems. These changes, made by operators with combat experience, represented practical refinements that official procurement specifications hadn't anticipated. They demonstrated how the basic design had been adapted to specific tactical requirements through direct battlefield experience. Sergeant James Wilson, 82nd Airborne Division, carried the same BAR through operations in Sicily, Normandy, Holland, and the Bulge. Upon inspection in June 1945, the weapon showed significant wear but remained fully functional. Wilson's maintenance log, kept meticulously throughout his service, recorded approximately 11,600 rounds fired in combat operations. His final entry stated, "This weapon has never failed when needed. I attribute this reliability to proper maintenance and quality manufacturing." As the war concluded, the BAR's legacy was secure. It had proven itself the most effective squad automatic weapon fielded by any major combatant. Its influence extended beyond its direct tactical impact to shape small unit doctrine, training systems, and even enemy defensive planning. The weapon represented a uniquely American approach to warfare, technology enhancing individual soldier capability rather than replacing it. The BAR's journey continued beyond World War II. The Korean conflict saw the weapon return to frontline service, where it confronted new challenges. Winter operations in mountainous terrain tested its cold weather reliability. Chinese human wave tactics demanded sustained fire capability. The BAR met these challenges through the same combination of sound design and operator proficiency that had proven effective in earlier conflicts. Master Sergeant Harold Bishop deployed to Korea in July 1950 with extensive BAR experience from the European theatre. His unit faced Chinese forces during the brutal winter campaign of 1950–51. Bishop's after-action report noted, "The BAR continues to provide decisive firepower advantage despite extreme environmental conditions. When properly maintained with appropriate cold weather lubricants, reliability remains excellent even at temperatures below zero." Chinese forces have no equivalent capability at the first squad level. This performance in Korea validated the BAR's fundamental design, a weapon conceived during World War I, refined during the interwar period, and proven in World War II, continued to excel in a conflict featuring entirely different opponents and operational conditions. Few military technologies demonstrate such longevity without major redesign evidence of exceptional engineering in the original concept. Technical analysis explains this sustained effectiveness. The BAR's operating system functions within broad temperature ranges. Its mechanical tolerances accommodate reasonable levels of debris without malfunction. Its maintenance requirements, while demanding, remain feasible under field conditions. These characteristics, deliberately engineered into the original design, provide operational flexibility that extends the weapon's effective lifespan across decades and environments. The BAR's influence reached beyond American forces. Many Allied nations, recognizing its effectiveness, adopted the weapon through military assistance programs. Belgian manufacturers produced a commercial variant that saw worldwide service. Swedish forces developed their own version optimized for Arctic conditions. These international adaptations demonstrated how the core design principles transcended national boundaries. Effective small unit firepower represented a universal tactical requirement. What makes this extended service life remarkable is the pace of weapons technology development during this period. Between 1918 and 1960, military small arms advanced dramatically in materials, operating principles, and manufacturing techniques. Yet the BAR, essentially unchanged in fundamental design, remained effective throughout this period. This longevity speaks to the soundness of the original concept and the quality of its implementation. The BAR's story illuminates broader truths about military technology. The most effective weapons systems aren't necessarily the most advanced or sophisticated. They succeed by meeting actual battlefield requirements with appropriate reliability, deployability, and maintainability. The BAR exemplified this principle, delivering capabilities that mattered most under combat conditions rather than impressive specifications that failed to translate to tactical advantage. This lesson resonates in modern military procurement. Advanced technology without operational practicality creates vulnerable complexity. The BAR's success derived from its robustness under field conditions, its ability to function reliably when subjected to mud, extreme temperatures, rough handling, and minimal maintenance. This practical effectiveness, rather than technical sophistication, defines truly successful military technology. As years passed, the original participants in the BAR's combat history began documenting their experiences. Veterans' accounts consistently emphasized the weapon's psychological impact both for American forces and their opponents. Former BAR operators described feeling personally responsible for their squad's combat effectiveness. German veterans recalled the distinctive sound of BAR fire as particularly threatening. These subjective impressions complemented the statistical evidence of the weapon's battlefield impact. Colonel David Marshall, who commanded a rifle company in Normandy, wrote in his 1962 memoir, "The BAR represented the cornerstone of our tactical planning. Every maneuver, every defensive position, every patrol composition centered around maximizing automatic rifle effectiveness. When properly employed, it gave an American infantry squad combat power equivalent to a much larger enemy formation. This advantage proved decisive in countless engagements where we faced superior numbers but prevailed through superior firepower." Technical evaluation teams studying the BAR's performance history identified specific design elements that contributed to its effectiveness. The short recoil operating system provided reliability under adverse conditions. The rate-reducing buffer delivered controllable automatic fire. The quick-change barrel capability allowed sustained operation. The ergonomic layout facilitated accurate employment from multiple positions. These features, working in concert, created a weapon system greater than the sum of its components. Military historians analyzing small unit combat in World War II consistently identify the BAR as a decisive technological advantage for American forces. Dr. Robert Collins, in his comprehensive study Infantry Weapons Effectiveness 1939 to 1945, concludes, "The presence of the BAR at squad level fundamentally altered tactical dynamics in favor of American infantry. No other major combatant achieved comparable automatic fire capability with equivalent mobility. This advantage, multiplied across thousands of infantry squads, contributed significantly to Allied victory. This historical perspective contextualizes Private Reilly's action in the Ardennes. His neutralization of the German bunker complex wasn't simply an isolated act of heroism. It represented the culmination of decades of weapon development, tactical evolution, and training refinement. Reilly succeeded because he employed a weapon specifically designed for such situations, using techniques developed through extensive combat experience, supported by a doctrine that maximized the BAR's effectiveness. The broader significance became clear in post-war analysis. The BAR had changed the fundamental equation of small unit combat. Historical infantry doctrine assumed firepower increased proportionally. With personnel numbers, more soldiers meant more rifles firing. The BAR broke this relationship by allowing a single soldier to deliver firepower equivalent to multiple riflemen. This asymmetry, multiplied across an entire army, created tactical advantage that materially contributed to Allied victory. This lesson influenced post-war military thinking. The concept of the squad automatic weapon became standard across modern armies. Contemporary infantry squads worldwide typically include at least one lighter machine gun or automatic rifle, providing base of fire for maneuver elements. This doctrinal approach, pioneered with the BAR, represents an enduring legacy that transcends the specific weapon system that originated it. The BAR eventually reached technological obsolescence as newer designs incorporated improved materials, manufacturing techniques, and operating principles. The M60 machine gun, introduced in the late 1950s, began replacing the BAR in American service. Later systems like the M249 squad automatic weapon further refined the concept. Yet these successors followed the same fundamental premise established by the BAR, integrating automatic fire capability at the squad level to enhance small unit effectiveness. The transition wasn't immediate or universal. The BAR remained in limited service through the early stages of Vietnam, particularly with special operations units and advisors to Allied forces. Marine Corps units retained the weapon longer than Army formations. National Guard and Reserve components continued BAR deployment into the 1,970 seconds. This extended service life, spanning over 5 decades, remains exceptional among military small arms. The BAR's final retirement came not because it had become ineffective, but because advancing technology offered improved capabilities. Newer weapons provided higher sustained rates of fire, better ammunition capacity, and reduced weight. Yet these advancements built upon the tactical concept the BAR had pioneered the integration of automatic fire capability within infantry squads, rather than as separate support elements. Modern military museums display the BAR alongside documentation of its extensive service history. The weapon represents not merely a mechanical artifact, but a pivotal development in infantry tactics. Its influence extends beyond its physical presence to shape continuing doctrinal thinking about small unit firepower distribution, tactical mobility, and the relationship between individual soldiers and crew-served weapons. Veterans who carried the BAR in combat situations speak of it with particular respect. Their accounts consistently emphasize the responsibility that accompanied the weapon. BAR operators understood their central role in squad effectiveness. This psychological dimension, difficult to capture in technical specifications or tactical manuals, represents an important aspect of the BAR's battlefield impact. The weapon created not only physical effects, but also confidence among friendly forces and apprehension among opponents, which returns us to Private Thomas Reilly's position 28 yards from the German bunker complex. His action that December afternoon in 1944 embodied the BAR's fundamental purpose, delivering decisive firepower at the critical point of engagement. The 20 rounds that neutralized 3 machine guns and 7 enemy personnel represented not merely ammunition expenditure, but the application of technological advantage through skilled human agency. The echoes of that single burst extended far beyond the immediate tactical situation. The engagement became a case study in effective weapons employment. Training programs incorporated its lessons. Technical bulletins referenced its outcome. The incident entered the institutional memory of both American and German forces, evidence of how individual actions, enabled by appropriate technology, can influence operations beyond their immediate scope. Reilly himself received the Silver Star for his actions that day. The citation read in part, "Through exceptional courage, tactical awareness, and weapons proficiency, Private Reilly neutralized an enemy position that had halted an entire company. His initiative saved numerous American lives while demonstrating the decisive impact possible when skilled soldiers employ appropriate weapons systems effectively." The recognition acknowledged both personal bravery and technical competence, the human and mechanical components that together created battlefield effectiveness. The story holds continuing relevance for modern military operations. Today's infantry weapons differ substantially from the BAR in technical characteristics, but the fundamental principle remains unchanged. Effective integration of technology, tactics, and training creates combat capability greater than any component alone could provide. The soldier, who understands both the capabilities and limitations of available weapons systems, who maintains technical proficiency through diligent practice, who employs initiative within doctrinal framework, this soldier continues the tradition exemplified by BAR operators throughout the weapons service history. Military technology assessment often focuses on quantifiable metrics: rate of fire, effective range, penetration, weight. The BAR's legacy demonstrates how such statistics, while important, capture only part of a weapon's true battlefield value. Equally significant are qualitative factors like reliability under adverse conditions, psychological impact, tactical flexibility, and integration with existing doctrine. The BAR excelled in these less measurable but crucially important characteristics. Warfare fundamentally remains a human activity, conducted by individuals operating within organizational frameworks and supported by technological systems. The BAR's history illustrates how these elements interact to create battlefield effectiveness. The weapon itself, remarkable as its engineering may have been, achieved its impact through skilled human employment within appropriate tactical doctrine. This integration, mechanical, human, and organizational, created results greater than any component alone could achieve. The engagement in the Ardennes exemplified this truth. The technical capability, represented by the BAR, made Reilly's action possible. His individual skill and courage made that capability effective. The tactical doctrine that positioned him to exploit the bunker's vulnerability made his initiative meaningful. Together, these elements transformed a potential tactical defeat into decisive success, saving American lives, while demonstrating the fundamental advantage that appropriate technology provides when properly employed. In military history, weapons occasionally transcend their mechanical function to become symbols of broader significance. The longbow at Agincourt, the musket at Yorktown, the machine gun on the Somme, each represents not merely a technical device, but a transformative influence on warfare itself. The BAR, while perhaps less dramatically revolutionary than these examples, similarly influenced an entire generation of infantry combat. Its legacy lives on in modern automatic weapons that continue its fundamental concept, delivering substantial firepower through individual infantry soldiers. This enduring influence confirms what Thomas Reilly demonstrated in the Ardennes forest. When skilled soldiers employ appropriate technology with tactical awareness and personal courage, they create effects disproportionate to their numbers. The 20-second burst that neutralized the German bunker complex represented more than an isolated act of heroism. It embodied the culmination of weapon design, manufacturing precision, tactical evolution, and operator training elements that continue to define effective military technology application to this day. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.